Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, January 8th, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let's just take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. You can see where we still have a high pressure ridge dominating the entire region, sending a lot of easterly winds into the Caribbean region. And we can also see an elongated trough that's affecting portions of the northeastern Caribbean, and to the north of that trough, tail end of two cold fronts. And if you actually take a look at the satellite images, we can see that yes, the low level clouds are being pushed by that easterly flow courtesy of that high pressure ridge. We can also see some amount of clouds affecting portions of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico associated with that trough, and we can see some lines of clouds right here associated with the cold front to the north of that trough. Alright, so let us take a look at what was predicted yesterday for today's forecast. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica in the morning, then portions of central and western Jamaica in the afternoon. And what ended up happening? A post was made at 8:50 a.m. this morning highlighting some amount of greens and yellows that represent moderate to strong rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica. Then during the afternoon, we had some amount of cloud cover bringing some isolated thunder showers. As we all know, the sparkling white dots indicate some amount of thunder showers because of all that lightning, and that affected portions of central and western Jamaica just as predicted. And this post was made at 3:35 this afternoon. If we actually take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see a lot of buildup of clouds across especially southern Jamaica. So St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland got in on some of that. Even up to recording hours in the evening hours, we still had some amount of cloud cover, bringing that rainfall along with some amount of thunder showers. And if you actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, as you know, the Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to the satellite images that show the clouds, and we know that we can have cloud cover over an area and not necessarily rainfall. We can see some amount of greens and yellows across portions of southwestern Jamaica, so St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland got in on some amount of rainfall. Even portions of Clarendon are still getting in on some amount of rainfall up to recording hour. And if we actually take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website showing us all the rainfall for the past 24 hours, well, since morning, we can see that yes, we had some rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica in the morning. So portions of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, maybe even Portland got in on some of the rainfall. Then, just like what we saw right now on the satellite images, we had some rainfall across portions of southern, central, and western Jamaica. Alright, so let us talk temperatures. We can actually pause the video right now and look for your specific area to see what the temperatures are like right now. We can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in Runaway Bay. That's 20 degrees Celsius as usual in Mandeville and 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. What about the forecast for tomorrow? We can see that we're going to be in the gold colors. That's about at least 1 degree Celsius above average, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS. And as you all know, the average temperatures for the month of January are about 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and when we calculate that, that's about 30 degrees Celsius. So we can have anything from, let's say, 30 to 31 or 32 degrees Celsius for the temperatures for Monday. If you actually take a look at the Saharan air layer map, we can see yes, we have a lot of dry air, some of which is associated with the Saharan dust, and we can see some amount of blues. The blues actually indicate some amount of moisture that's taking place, so we can see some amount of blues that indicate moist air, not necessarily dry air across portions of the Western Caribbean, section of Jamaica, and right where the trough is located is a portion of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. If you actually take a look at the actual Saharan dust map, we all know the browns represent the dust, all of this coming all the way from Africa. You can see that Jamaica is in the clear for tomorrow. Alright, so let us talk wind forecast for tomorrow. So we're not going to be experiencing that strong easterly wind across the entire island. This is showing the winds across the entire island for Monday at 12 o'clock, and both the Euro and the GFS show that we're going to be having not so much in the way of winds. And if you actually look closely, we can see that some of this air is coming in from the south. On the Euro model, on the GFS, something similar. And where does all of this air pile up? Look at the darker shades of blue that signal little to no wind across the island on both maps. We can see that there's some concentration across inland areas of Jamaica, especially northern Jamaica. So if there's a chance of some afternoon convection developing across the island, it will be favoring, let's say, northern Jamaica as well as inland areas of southern Jamaica. And with the wind shear coming in from the northwest across the island, there is a chance that all of these clouds might be in place across portions of inland areas of southern Jamaica and northern Jamaica during the afternoon, and we're experiencing northerly wind shear. This map is showing 18th on Monday, that's about 1 p.m. on Monday. Northwesterly wind shear is being predicted by both the Euro and the GFS model. Alright, so let us talk precipitation forecast. We can see that the Euro is showing some amount of blues across portions of this. Looks like St. Mary and Portland. What time is this? 11 p.m. Do we have consensus on the GFS? Yes, we do. Some amount of blues across these very same areas. What about 4 a.m.? We see some dots of blues across portions of the north coast. Let's say out to sea. What about the GFS? We see some amount of blues right there, right off the coast of St. Mary and Portland. So we'll see what happens with that at 4 a.m. Either way, there might be some amount of rainfall at 11 p.m. What about tomorrow? 2 p.m. Look at all of these blues across the island. And if we actually take a look at the GFS model, we're seeing something similar across the island. Eastern, central, and western Jamaica might get in on some of that. Even spilling into 3 p.m., getting even darker with the blues, maybe even spilling into some portions of southern Jamaica as well, maybe even Kingston. So we shall see exactly what happens with that tomorrow. Either way, bring your umbrellas with you. Alright, so if we actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, let me see if I can reload these images, get the latest. Alright, so the accumulated precipitation forecast is showing some amount of predicted rainfall across the island, and this map is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday. The GFS is showing more of the rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica, just as what it is showing for tonight and tomorrow morning, and then especially the north coast for tomorrow afternoon. So we shall see what happens with that. Either way, get yourself ready for some amount of rainfall on Monday. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's talk about the rest of the Caribbean basin. So yes, we still have some amount of low level clouds that are moving along with the high pressure ridge from east to west in that wind flow, and we can see some amount of cloud cover across portions of the Windward Islands. As stated, portions of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico being affected by that trough. We can see a brand new cold front right there affecting portions of the southern and eastern United States. And we can see some amount of clouds right there affecting portions of Costa Rica, Belize, and Honduras right there. And if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, we get to the Caribbean quickly. So we can see, yes, that we have some amount of greens that represent some amount of rainfall at this time. All of these greens affecting portions of the Dominican Republic associated with that trough. And we have some amount of scattered showers across the Leeward Islands. What about the other Doppler radar image? Look at the Barbados radar. We can see some amount of rainfall to the west of Barbados, even to the east, north, and south of Barbados. We can see some rainfall affecting portions of St. Vincent, portions of Grenada, sections of Tobago, Trinidad. We can also see some amount of rainfall affecting portions of St. Lucia, Martinique, and Dominica at this time. Alright, so let us talk about the Saharan dust forecast for tomorrow. We can see some amount of browns that represent the Saharan dust, so some amount of hazy skies are still expected across, especially the southern Caribbean, so the ABC Islands, portions of Venezuela, portions of Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Trinidad and Tobago, maybe Barbados, as well as portions of the Leeward and Windward Islands, which include portions of, let's say, Grenada, St. Lucia, all the way up to Guadeloupe, might getting on some of those slight hazy skies. And we're going to be having an easterly flow across especially the eastern Caribbean, anywhere from 10 to 20 knots, and that is being shown on both the Euro and the GFS. And we know that when we have consensus, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. What about the rainfall now? So as stated, yes, we have a trough affecting portions of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico at this time. So all of the rainfall that they're experiencing now, as well as what they are going to be experiencing for the next 24 hours, because this map is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on a Monday, and we can see a lot of reds. That's up to 1 inch of rainfall being predicted for Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, as well as portions of Venezuela, portions of Guyana, Costa Rica. Not so much in the way of rainfall for the Leeward Islands, but we can see some amount of rainfall across portions of the Windward Islands, so St. Vincent, Grenada, Tobago, portions of Honduras and Nicaragua as usual, as well as portions of Jamaica. What does the GFS model show? Something similar. Same to up to 1 inch for portions of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Same thing for St. Vincent and Grenada right there to the west of Barbados. Portions of Guyana, portions of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and Honduras and Nicaragua. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. What about the western portions of the basin, including the Cayman Islands? We see some greens right there, especially to the west of the Cayman Islands. Lots of rainfall up to 1 inch being forecast for portions of the Yucatan Peninsula. Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras. What does the GFS show? Something similar on both maps. So there's some amount of rainfall expected from now up until 10 p.m. tomorrow. Alright. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.